Honeysuckle and Rachel Blackmore racing's golden duo.
Tiger Roll joins the greats and beats Magic of Light.
Best behaviour on the near side with the wettest of saves for Barry Brown and Oliver McKiernan. Local trainer Derek comes in again and beyond his Lord Lyon wins it.
It's Samco on the stand side before he had the second round, but he lands in the lead by half a length and goes on from Samco.
Hello and welcome to the latest and final episode of We're Going Chasing this side of Cheltenham. We're really not far away at all now. At the moment, it feels like the days are getting longer, the closer we're getting to the festival. But it is only 5 more sleeps and we're almost there. And we're all very excited here. I suppose we had our preview for Tuesday and Wednesday released on Monday morning. So if you haven't caught that yet, be sure to go back and have a look at it. For this episode, joining myself and Killian today, we have Emma Nagle, who's been making a name for herself with IrishRacing.com and Race Day TV. And we also have up-and-coming journalist Ash Symonds, who writes for Gloucestershire Live and the Cheltenham Post, while he also has a podcast, Only Fools Love Horses. So you're both very welcome for joining us. And well, before we get down into it, what are your plans for next week? Will you be there, or will you be watching at home, or what's your story?
I'm in Cheltenham already, so I'll make sure to be there. Thank you very much, lads, for having us both on. Killian, I have the utmost respect for you housing me in the Dublin Racing Festival for that one night. It was incredible, stumbling back at 1 a.m. No, but thank you very much, lads. I watched the first part of your of the preview last night when I was editing the recent video for Only Fools of Horses, and I thought it was really good. I thought the two lads you had on were really good, and yeah, it was a great watch. So I'm happy to be here.
Thanks very much.
Yeah, thanks a million, lads, for having me on. I love the podcast. I watch it regularly enough, and it was great to meet yourself, James, in Navan at the weekend. No, I won't be in Cheltenham, unfortunately. I'm going to be watching from home, but I might have to talk to Ash about getting the couch for next year, maybe. It's just, but I'll see plenty of it from home anyway, so it's not too bad.
Very good, very good.
And Emma, just James approached you on Saturday in Navan and asked for the interview, didn't they, to go on Irish Racing? It wasn't.
Oh yeah, he said he wanted a bit of
straight
fame,
over.
So, yeah.
Yeah, like he was trying to tell me you approached him. I was saying that's not true.
No, he saw the camera and he went
did,
for it. Yeah,
yeah, that sounds about right.
God, and Ash was going on saying that he admired Killian for taking him in there at Dublin Racing Festival. Ash, that was an awful error of judgment on your behalf.
I didn't actually see him.
I'd say you'll be forking out for a hotel next year, I'm sure.
I gave you a bed as well, like the same night.
Yeah, but I know what to expect to come to yours. Right, look, we'll start off with Thursday. So, and just before we get into it, I'd just like to flag with you that if you can just comment below on YouTube or let us know there on Twitter what thoughts you have, whether you agree or disagree, or if you have any different angles, we'd love to hear from you. So getting right down into it, I suppose the first race then on the Thursday is the Turner's Chase. We've Mighty Potter there at the top of the market at 6-4. Banbridge 4-1. Appreciate is about 4-1 as well. There's a few others there towards the top of the market who won't be running there, like El Fabiolo and Sir Gerhard. Ash, we'll start with you. Do you have a strong opinion in this race? Is there any there that you really like?
Yeah, I suppose I do have a strong opinion, and I'm not going to be the surely person to tell you this, and I'm surely not going to be the last up until Cheltenham, but I'm a massive fan of Mighty Potter. I have been since last season. I was a big Supreme Hurdle fan, and seeing him go to post and running through a rail and then absolutely clattering 4 out, I thought that's game, set, match. I'll just enjoy Constitution Hill. It's quite incredible how this horse has progressed over fences. Like I go down to the Gallops every morning of the festival and do it on the Monday and the Sunday before as well. I got chatting to someone who's very close inside the Gordon Elliott camp, and they said with this, if Gordon's ever going to have a Gold Cup horse in the next couple of years, there's your man right there, and it was Mighty Potter. So I think, and Kevin Blake has said how much Gordon Elliott loves this horse, and how much they thought he's going to be a chaser in time. I've really liked this season so far. I thought he showed so much character in the Drinmore. Like he carried that fence he just literally walked through. He carried it along with him, carried it on his back, and said, "Come on, lads, I'm carrying this with me. If you want to catch up, have it, and I thought he was great there. And he still made mistakes in his next run at the Dublin Racing Festival, like going away from the stands, the fence away from the stands. He made a mistake there. He wasn't most fluent at all of his fences, and I still think that just shows that he's got so much improvement to go. In his first season over fences, the way he jumped 2 out was incredible, I thought, and he even got the last a bit sticky, but the engine that he showed was fantastic. He's up there and definitely my top 3 strongest bets of the week. I'm a massive fan of him. I wouldn't read too much into his Supreme run. Like I said, he ran for a rail. He got the 4 out to a bit bad. The travelling may be one concern, but I don't think there's any concern in the Gordon Elliott camp. So I think Mighty Potter is up there. Is probably going to be one of my naps of the festival, really. If I can give one that I maybe think can outrun its odds, I think Stage Star is a good horse. I thought it was a really, really good performance in the handicap at Cheltenham on trials day. That's right, Gino's gone some way to frank the form a little bit, running in behind stablemate Solo. So Stage Star 14s, I think, can outrun it, but I think this is a Mighty Potter show, lads.
Okay, very good, very good. Emma?
Yeah, I think Ash summed it up pretty well there. I'm a massive fan of Mighty Potter as well. Loved his performance at Dublin Racing Festival. I would be slightly worried about his run last year at Cheltenham. You know, the occasion of the festival is the big thing, and you know, he seems to be maturing a bit more. I don't think he wears the red hood this season, or he seems to be a bit more mature, which will stand to him. But I think Banbridge is a bit of a danger. Look, I know he was a long way behind him in the Drinmore, but Banbridge loves Cheltenham. He loves the hill. You know, he was brilliant there at the November meeting. Flew up it last year to win the Martin Pipe. I think he is a danger on the spring ground. I think he'll be a lot better horse, but I think Mighty Potter is the winner. But I would be wary of Banbridge. They do seem confident about Appreciated as well. To be honest, I thought he was quite disappointing though. Behind El Fabiolo, I liked him coming into that race, and he is a 9-year-old now. So maybe you'd be wondering, you know, is he a bit vulnerable to these young up and coming novices, a bit younger horses? So yeah, I'm a big Mighty Potter fan as well. So yeah, he'll be my bet in that. But we're your Banbridge definitely.
Okay, very good, very good. Killian, you're going to complete the 3 here, I'd imagine.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Mighty Potter's probably the nap of the whole week, I'd say. He'd win this. He'd win the RSA as well if he wanted. Or with the Brown Advisory. Like, hopefully he goes up to 3 miles now in Punchestown at the end of the season. And I agree with Ash. I think if I was backing a horse for a Gold Cup next year, I'd back him. To be honest, I think he's everything you need to win a Gold Cup. But I would be slightly wary of Appreciated. I know he's 9 and like he probably isn't improving as much as Mighty Potter is, but like he's very good. And every time you hear Paul Townend talk about Appreciated, like you'd swear he's one of the best horses in the yard. And like I just be a small bit concerned that he might get a bit closer to him. Like I think like you go back to his Supreme run, like he blew them away, and I know he was off the track then for a year, but I completely blew them asunder. And Blue Lord back in second's a very good horse, so that would fail when he fell. So I'd say Mighty Potter to be Appreciated would be for me now.
Yeah. And myself, I get all those points on Mighty Potter. He does. He looks the real deal. Banbridge, I wouldn't be too gone on. I think that I'd actually rather if he was running the Arkle, to be honest. And I know he looked like he'd improve for the step up in trip, but I just think even a strongly run 2 miles round Cheltenham with the stiffer finish would see him in a very good light. It was 2 miles that he ran in at Cheltenham in November as well. I don't know if it's set in stone. I think all the vibes are that he is going here. But I'd be interested in him if he was to go to the Arkle. Appreciated at the prices, I'd be nearly inclined to side with over Mighty Potter. If you can get 9-2 about Appreciated, I heard David Casey talking about him on some preview there last week, and he was just so bullish about him in terms of the step up in trip. He was so keen, like you couldn't. I think it was Boy Sports actually. If you went back and watched it, he'd nearly convince you. And his angle was each way, like won't be out of the first 3. And you know what, I do see that point. He was disappointing the last day. I think he always needed to step up in trip. I don't know if he was ever. I always thought he'd be better over a further trip, put it that way. While he achieved a lot over 2 miles, I think he'll be a better horse again over 2.5. So look, I'll go with him each way and take the 3 on there. Moving on then to the Ryanair Chase. We've Shishkin at the top of the market at 4-5, Blue Lords about 5-1, Janadil there about 7-1, 15-2. Emma, we'll start with you here. What's catching your eye?
Yeah, I couldn't have Shishkin at odds on, to be honest. Look, I know he was brilliant the last day, but he's a horse with so many problems. Like, could you trust him? You'd want to have a fair bit at that kind of price, and I don't think I could trust him. He could easily blow them out of the waters, but he could probably pull up just as easily as that. He's probably not one for me. I like Fury Road each way. I thought his run behind Galloping Des Champs at the Dublin Racing Festival was very, very good. He was upsides and nearly coming to the last. And I think this race is probably open. I know Shishkin's a very good horse, but he's unreliable as well. Fury Road looks a bit of an each way bet to me. Blue Lord, not 100% sure. I think they're only, will they run him in this? Will they run in the championship? I'm not sure if it's confirmed yet. What his best trip is, hard to know. He's not a horse that I'd particularly like. Janadil, he was very good in Goran. They were saying he looked fairly heavy in the ring, and Rachel rode him very cold, kind of came and took it up late on. He was second to Allaho in it last year, so he'd have to have his chance to place, but he's probably vulnerable to another kind of better class of a horse. I think Fury Road is probably my bet in this, each way 8-1. I don't think he can go too wrong. He has course form at Cheltenham. He disappointed in the stairs when he ran there, but he was third in Albert Bartlett a few years ago as well, so I think he's a pretty solid each way bet.
Okay, very good, fair enough. Killian?
Yeah, I think Shishkin will win, but I wouldn't have the balls to back him at 8-11, to be honest. I'd like French Dynamite. I'd prefer if he ran in the plate as to this. But he might hit the frame, and again, another each way one in Vialan, maybe. He's very disappointing in the King George. But when he won it up north, he beat Conflated, he beat Galvin, he beat good horses that day. Going back down to 2.5 miles, you wouldn't be surprised if he came third. But I do think Shishkin will win.
Yeah. I don't know. I wouldn't be able to back in Vialan any if you can't have the balls to back Shishkin.
Yeah, I don't know if he's going here though. He might be going to Aintree instead, to the bowl.
Yeah. Okay. We'll. What did you go with in the end? Sorry.
I don't know what I went with. I go French Dynamite each way.
French Dynamite each way. Okay, yeah. Ash.
I'll keep this quite short. Shishkin's the most likely winner. There won't be a bounce factor in this, I don't think. The sort of whole bounce factor thing, he's had 2 runs beforehand, they were just disappointing. It's not like he's coming into this race having had 300 days off a run and then coming into Cheltenham. He's been fairly regular this season. I won't be backing him though. He's definitely the most likely winner. I'd be willing to take a chance on Janadil. It might just be a case of he runs on into the places, and you get a run for your money. But just in case something happens to Shishkin, he's maybe not the most consistent type in the world. I really like Janadil as a horse. I liked him last season. I backed him actually.
But you're going to back him.
Look, I really like Janadil. I backed him against Allaho last season, and I just think he had a very heavy season. He was second to Allaho start of season in 2021 than John Durkan. Then he was a fair race behind Galvin in the Savills. Then another fair race in the Irish Gold Cup behind Conflated. Over two distances there, probably the wrong distance for him. He's then run second to Allaho, 14 lengths behind Mind. Fell and then pulled up. That's a very hard season last season. And then he's come into it. He's carrying a bit extra, is what we can gather from what Emma's saying, and still ran really well the last day. I think he's a solid horse, and I'd be surprised if he's not in the places, to be honest. This could cut up quite easily, so you can maybe make an angle for backing him anti-post each way, but I'd maybe have a small couple of quid each way on Janadil.
Yeah, and I'd be fully on board with you there on Janadil. I think that he's the second best horse in the race. And that if Shishkin doesn't turn up, which I think is quite possible, I reckon that Janadil will be the one to beat, second in it last year, behind a machine. And what a pity it is that machine Allaho isn't turning up here, because what a race it would be if Shishkin was on form and Allaho was on form. That would be quite fascinating. But I'd be happy enough to go with Janadil each way. I thought that was a very good comeback run last time out. I do think that he could probably do with a bit of rain. I think he's slightly better on softer ground. So you'd probably be hoping that would come for him. That brings us on then to the Stayers Hurdle. And Killian, we'll start with you here with this one. Blazing Cal at the top of the market, 10-3. Murray's Rock looks more and more likely to be running here. Chupu 9-2. Home by the Lee 6-1. It's a wide open race.
I don't know, like it's awful competitive. Like,
yeah,
I find it very hard to believe Blazing Cal is 50-50 or whatever to get there. Like, so like there isn't, like, he's more on his price is based on potential more than anything else. Like, I think the best piece of form in the race is the Hatton's Grace, and when Honeysuckle wins the mares on Tuesday, it's going to show that even further. Like, I'd have it nearly between Chupu and Classical Dream. Like, I think Classical Dream has some chance at 10-1 there. Like, he's going there fresh compared to last year when he ran in Goran and had a hard race on heavy ground. So like 10-1 about him is a fairly good price there. And like Chupu, then he's only a 6-year-old, he's improving, and like he mightn't have beaten much in Goran, but he couldn't have done it any easier, and he jumps really well. And I don't know, on over 3 miles, I don't think really soft ground he's going to need. Like, I think just good to soft in places, that sort of ground do him fine, I'd say. But I think Marie's Rock then might be the danger. I don't know. They're all good. Like, I'd say Chupu and Classical Dream might be the first 2 home.
Okay, God, that's a more alternative pick on Classical Dream. I haven't heard him being mentioned too much in the context of this race recently, with all the different previews going on. Emma, what do you think? Classical Dream, or are you looking higher up the market?
Yeah, Classical Dream, if he showed up, I mean, he definitely have a big chance. I'm not sure certain he's going to run or not. He was, neck and neck there with Tupu in the Hatton's Grace early on in the season. So like, you'd have to say he'd have a big shout, right? Well, I'm all about Blazing Cal here, to be honest. I think, I think if he shows up in top form, I think he'll be the one. He's got course form at Cheltenham. I think when he won the Boyne Hurl at Navan last time, he won it as he liked. I think Philip gave him a great ride that day. He just kind of squeezed him into the race and didn't give him too hard of a time. I'd be wary of Tupu, all right. I think Tupu is a real, the type for a Stayers Hurdle, and he's been classy over nearly all trips as well. He's shown class over 2 miles, stepping up to 3 miles now. He races like a Stayers Hurdle, and he's behind the bridle the whole time. I'm not worried about ground like Killian. As long as there's any kind of bit of softening, I think he'll be fine. Flooring Port is probably a bit of a forgotten horse in the race as well. I mean, 2-time winner. All reports are good for Gavin Cromwell. I actually spoke to him at the weekend, and everything seems to be well with him. So, and home by Lee. Look, this you could name. Yeah. Go down through the first 6 or 7 in the market, and they all have a massive shout. But I'm with Blazing Cal here. I think he'll take an awful lot of beating.
Very good, very good. Ash?
I'd be agreeing with Killian, I'd say. I think Tupu is a very good animal. I actually backed him to beat Honeysuckle in the Hatton's Grace because I just thought last season's form was very good. In the fact of beating Colixios those 2 times, the way he actually beat Colixios by just half a length at Limerick was just incredible. Like, he came from a different postcode to win that day. I wouldn't be too concerned about the grounds. Like, I think if the more and more you read in between the lines, they say that he needed that softer ground last season when he was running over 2 miles because he maybe just didn't have that top class speed at that level, and that the softer ground just slowed everything down for him. You wouldn't want it rattling quick, but I think the recent rain that's just come down would just take that sting out of it. So close to Cheltenham, I think he'd be pretty fine on it. So I say Tupu is quite a strong one there. I can see the case for Classical Dream. I think if they get him right, he's coming into it fresh, and we all know how good he is fresh. He was very good again behind Tupu. You maybe think that potentially the trip was a little bit short for him the last day, so going up to the 3 miles, I think is brilliant. And I just had to have a little check on the exchanges to see what it's saying about this one horse. But I wouldn't say Asterion Phalange at 40s is an outrageous shout. I really wouldn't, because I like the horse. He was all right over fences, and he has been all right over fences. He just seems to get that. Well, there was a bit of money. He drifted all the way out to 90s, and now he's sort of in at about 40s. So like there seems to be a little bit of market support in the fact that he's always going to be an outsider, but there's just a little bit saying that he probably might go to the race. This has been his only entry since the start. They've never even mentioned about supplementing him for a chase race or anything. And look, I have this like image in my head of him just absolutely clattering Two Horse and the Supreme as my only hurdle memory of him. I was on Elixir Daily that day, and he hasn't been seen since on the track. So, but no, I just think he's a very good horse, and I think if he
Yeah.
turns up to his top level, he is probably one of the top 3 horses in this race. So I'd say they're worth 40-1 bets to have than a Syrian Forlonge, but I'd be firmly in the Tubu camp.
Yeah, yeah, and to be honest, I wouldn't be against you there and the Assyrian for Lange one at all. I don't know if I said it on the podcast, Killian, or if I said it to you in person, but I was making a bit of a similar case for him there a couple of weeks ago to Killian.
I
But
wasn't listening to you, I'd say.
He doesn't seem happy about
Tuned you
that.
Even like a horse we haven't mentioned, and I don't fancy him, but it just shows the nature of the race, is Ashdale Bob. He's another one. I don't think he'll win it, like, but his form isn't a million miles away from the horses we're talking about here. Like, he was bet 3 lengths by home by the Lee at Leopardstown at Christmas. He was only beaten about a length by Classical Dream at Punchestown last year. Like, he seems to be always thereabouts. It's such a competitive race.
He ran a really good race in the Carl Cup last year as well. Like, he's nearly guaranteed to be the last horse off the bridle anyway. Like, and like he could look like turning in. He might win this, but probably a few might just stay on past him. But like the run the last day was very good against Home by the Lee in Leopardstown, and like he's a big prize too. And like no one even mentions him. Like that's how strong the race is.
Yeah. It's a fierce, strong race. If I had gone to my head, I'd be going Blazing Cal. To be honest, I think his comeback run last time was very impressive after so long off the track. He stayed on very well. He'll only be better again over a further trip. Unbeaten. That's definitely who I'd be siding with if I had a gun to my head, but thankfully there's no gun to my head, so I'd probably not be getting too involved in that one. I'd say it's definitely one to be watching. That brings us on then to the Jack de Bromhead Mayor's Novice Hurdle. The Grade 2 Lucia is 13-8 favourite. Ashrow Diamond 7-2. Willie's got a few there then, Night and Day and Lot of Joy, and then Magical Zoe as well. Obviously for Henry de Bromhead, and what a great story that would be if that could be pulled off. Killian, we'll start with you here.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. Like, I don't know, is there real massive substance to Lucia's form? Like, she's won very well both days, but I don't know, has she beaten an awful lot? I liked Ashrow Diamond. I actually backed her against Facile Vega at Christmas, and she was given a fairly quiet ride that day, and like she came home in third, and she was third in the Royal Bond as well, behind Marine Nationale. So like, she had very good form there, and then she went out and won a mare's race. So she's the £5 penalty here, which isn't ideal, but I suppose I like Magical Zoe. I thought she was very good when she won in Down Royal. Like, she stayed on really well that day, and I just think that they've put her away for this race specifically since, and like, she's coming fresh, and you'd hope that she's a good chance there. I go with her each way at around 9-1.
Very good. Ash?
Yeah, Ashrow Diamond is a horse that's been on my radar for this race for a while. She's just very good.
Named after you.
I wish. Poor Tipster would be a horse named after me. No, I think she's just a very good horse. Like, she's won the last day. She finished third to 2 potentially very good horses in Marine Nationale and Facile Vega. Elate Tomp was in second to Facile Vega 2 starts ago as well, and that's gone on to reverse the form, obviously, at the Dublin Racing Festival. She's just very good. She's been on the radar for a while, and I'd be preferably backing her with the form and substance that she has to her form over Lucia, who I think is a very good animal. And if you listen to anything Nicky Henderson says, he also thinks she's amazing. Like, I probed him for a question last year. I said, if there's one horse you're looking forward to, Nicky, at the festival, which should it be? He doesn't like to give too much away, but he said Marie's Rock for the mares, and that went and won at 18-1. That's the same this day, and he gave Ashrow Diamond and a horse we're going to talk on. Sorry, not Ashrow, Lucia, and a horse we're going to talk about later. So I think she's very good, but I'd be preferably backing Ashrow Diamond. I give You Wear It Well a shout. Jamie Snowden is quietly sort of confident about this horse, I believe. She was obviously second to Hermes Allen 2 starts ago, beaten She's a Saint by 7 lengths the next day. So I think Jamie Stolen is confident of a big run from her. And this could be a little bit hard overhead, but I backed Belle the Lioness at 33-1 anti-post before her win the last day, thinking, I even told my dad, I was like, back it now because this will be 10-1 when she wins. She won and she drifted, so that was fantastic. She it wouldn't have been perfect conditions for her. She tried to make all, and she did make all, and she was never actually getting past at the finish. Like the horses came to collect her, and she went on again. Her jumping is just awful. Like I have to hold my hands up here. Her jumping is awful. But she ran such a good race behind Liberty Dance 2 starts ago that I have to mention her at 33-1. And again, for Henry de Bromhead, so it'd be fantastic if he wins the race. A bit heart overhead there, but Astro Diamonds for me.
I actually spoke to a man that rides out in Henry de Bromhead's, and he mentioned Belle the Lioness. He said if she gets her jumping together, he'd say he reckoned she had quite a good each way chance at a big enough price.
It's going to be me in disguise.
Don't throw that in the bin yet.
I'm talking to you every day, and you're only telling me now.
It was actually yesterday, and you were invited to go on the Zoom call, and you were busy.
Oh, okay, fair enough. You're excused. You're excused. Emma, is there anything in this race?
Look, to be brilliant to see Henry win it. Like I think everyone would like to see that. But there's a lot of high class mares in this. Look, Lucia, as Ash was saying, like the vibes about her are so strong, but it's kind of hard to back her at that price, just given the bare form of it. Like she hasn't beaten a whole pile. I think the form of the Irish mares is very, very strong. Like Astro Diamond, look, she's probably rock solid at around 4-1. She's shown herself well against the best of the geldings in the country. I thought she might have been a small bit more impressive in the Salarina last time, but look, she grinded out and she got home in front of Jataris, who isn't a bad mare in her own right, who's around 14-1 for this. But look, it's a race that has produced 2 winners for Willie in the past. I think Limini and Arena both won the Salarina and went on to win the mares novice for Willie. So, the vibes on that side are good. But one that I really like is a Lot of Joy at 8-1. I thought she was very classy on the flat. I think first time out for Willie, he entered her in the big qualified riders race in Galway, which was showed you how much he actually thought of her at that time. Like I think she was a Swedish St. Ledger winner or something. But
that's it.
Yeah. I think she's a half sister to that Sonny Boy Liston. I think Charles actually has him now. He won the Cesaro a few years ago, but she went on then. She was 4th in that race after having no luck the whole way out, and she went on then. She was 3rd behind Waterville and Echoes and Rain in the Irish Cesaro, which was a massive run for me. Her hurdle runs, I think, have been very good as well. She was beaten first time out in Cork behind the good horse of Gavin Cromwell's. I know the way you're thinking. I wouldn't knock her for that at all. I think he's a very good horse, and she's been impressive after that since. So I think at 8-1, she's probably the bet for me.
Okay. We're happy enough there, so we'll move on. Just looking at it, we sort of said that once we get through all the graded races of the day, we'd loop back and look at the handicaps. So if any of the other 3 have any particular fancy in any of them, they can shout as we go through them. So we'll start off with the Pertemps, and actually said I wouldn't put people on the spot on the handicaps, but Killian, he sort of prides himself on the Pertemps. He claims that, what is it, 4 of the last 5 winners?
No, I went 6 in a row before last year.
Better again.
I was very good, yeah. I haven't
6 in a row on the Pertemps, right? Mr. Pertemps, go on.
I haven't a notion.
The floor is yours.
I no idea.
What good is that?
Shoot first. He could hose up, couldn't he? Like,
yeah, he could. Yeah.
Like I saw, like a lot of people putting him up and different preview nights and stuff. I know Gavin Lynch had him up there today as well, and Johnny Deneen was talking him up as well. Like, and I think Charles gave him as his bet for the week over in the preview over in Dubai. So like the vibes are very good. I think saw someone saying they're nearly talking him up as a stairs hurdle horse nearly next year. He could have any amount in hand, but I don't know what I want to go back in him at around 7-2. There was actually a good one I think it was in Paddy Power Shops in Ireland, Mighty Potter and Shoot First 10-1 there today. I think it was like Gavin Lynch's nap or something. So I must pop down after this, throw 20 quid in it. I don't know. I thought Maxim won very well at Christmas. in Leopardstown, and I know he got put up a good chunk for that, but I think he's off 145 now or something. But like, it wasn't a terrible run in Leopardstown in the Dublin Racing Festival either. Like he got a fairly handy ride once he was beaten, and I think he's a big cut up the side of his leg as well. So you might need to excuse him for that. I think I hear Keane Quirk is going riding him, so he'd be taking 7 off him. So like he mightn't be too bad, and I think. Yeah, David Jennings talking up, walking on air. There's any amount in there. It's a very competitive race, always like. So I might chance Maxim maybe each way.
Yeah. It's 8 or 9 years, I think, since Charles Burns had a winner, and now he's got a few very lively chances. Obviously, a winner at Cheltenham, that is a few very lively chances. For the Pertamps, Ash or Emma, do you have any strong opinion on this?
Go on, Emma. You go first.
Yeah, no, I'm with Shoot first here. I think Charles has plotted out for this for a long, long time. He put him away after he won at Cheltenham last time. I think he won that day with any amount in hand, and I think with any bit of luck, I'd say he'd be bang there. Another the horse of Gavin Cromwell's Percival Legalos, I think is how you say it. He was impressive as well last time. Big win at the Dublin Racing Festival. But I'd say Charles probably has a fair grip of that form because his horse Grozny was in behind him in second. So if Charles is confident on Shoot first, I'd be very keen on him, to be honest.
Okay.
Shoot first is the claims are obvious. Like, and even Charles Burns was saying straight after the race in the parade ring that like we're saving him for March. This has been a plan. Only Charles Burns knows how long this plan has been, but we probably can guess that it's been a while. I'd be willing to take him on. I quite like Walking on Air. He was my Ballymore horse last year, anti-post. He then went to Aintree, and I think I was crying in a corner somewhere after he pulled up, or it was very bad. But I think he was very good the last day. Like it was very much last chance saloon. The last day at Exeter, because his first 2 runs of the season in handicaps haven't been amazing. He's then gone and beaten Sabrina, who's actually a mare that Paul Nicholls likes quite a lot, by 3 lengths. Done it really well that day. Only been put up £5 for that. So I Walk on Air. The claims are obvious. The horse I need to mention, and it's from what I was mentioning there, Nicky Henderson. The other one he gave was Steeler March, and he sort of said this a little bit unprovoked before I asked him the question. Like, we were going through his runners for the week. A few of the handicaps he was given sort of like one-liners and stuff because he didn't really have much or didn't fancy it that much. And he got on Steeler March, like, and it could be the fact that it's owned by the King, so he's very keen to get a royal runner and a royal winner. But he said he'd give this a chance now, like, and it won the last day at Wincanton. Like, the form isn't worth too much, but he's won it quite well. I thought he's always sort of staying on. He's galloping really, really well. So I'd be interested to take a chance on the Steeler March at 16s. And my other one is Hector Javalex at 16-1 for Charlie Longston. Won on New Year's Day, beating Jet of Magic by 7 lengths. That course form is very good. Qualified for the race by finishing 4th to Itchy Feet the last day. Charlie Longston says it's probably his best chance of the week. So I think there must be a massive chance for Hector Javalex. I think he's quite a smart horse. So I'd be sort of penciling him in. And just like a little one, there's been murmurs about this John Joe Neal on Toy, however you pronounce it.
Yeah.
I'm bad at them, but people are saying that he's been put away for this race. I don't think that's the case. I hear bits and pieces now that he's had a few niggles to sort out behind the scenes with this horse. He's not the most straightforward. He's picked up a couple of knocks here and there. These are murmurs that I'm hearing. So obviously he goes out of a chance finishing 3rd to Shoot first, but it's not as straightforward as a case if they've plotted him out for this race. But those would be my 3 to go to war with in the Pertemps, which I have a horrendous record in.
Okay, and is there anything in the plate that you fancy? Or
yeah, I think my chances might be gone though with this rain, but hopefully it doesn't go too bad. I'd be playing this non-runner money back for sure because I've heard nothing about the horse, and I don't know whether Emma will be able to enlighten me if she's spoken to Gordon at all. But I'm quite sweet on Call Me Lyrene for this race. I think the step up in trip's going to be right up his street. He's obviously won the Liffey in 2022 off a mark of 138, and it was disappointing in the county hurdle. They put a claimer on that day. I think it might be Rob James even to try to get down to his mark. He's just got no route through. Nothing really happened. Rob James isn't even trying hard after 2 outs. Over fences, he's won twice, finishing staying on second to the Grade 1 runner-up in Visionarian over in Galway. After that, he fell behind when travelling very promisingly behind Easy Game and Kenboy. That was at the 4th fence. Those are both 161 and 157 chases, respectively. I think he's a very good horse. Call Me Irene. I think he could be the typical graded horse in a handicap because I do really like him. Decent ground is ideal, though, very much ideal. All of his runs have been pretty much in the summertime over fences. He hasn't been seen for, I want to say, 150 odd days, maybe, since maybe late August or even September. So the decent ground will be right up his street. But I've sort of had blinkers on Call Me Irene. 25 to 1 non-runner money back is the way I play it for the plate.
Very interesting. That's quite an alternative view on him. I don't know if I'd be as keen on him as you would now, to be perfectly honest. I think you're rated 145. I don't know if he's got too much more in that, but look, you've picked out one at a nice price anyway, so best of luck to you with it. Anybody else, anything for the plate?
Yeah, I actually like Kilcut in this. I think novice chasers or second season chasers have a great record in this race. And I think Kilcut, like if you said Willie Mullins this time last year, Kilcut would be in the plate off 149, like he'd probably think you were mad, you know?
Yeah.
I think like he's probably been a small bit disappointing, I suppose. He was behind Jerry Clom at Limerick and he was behind Mighty Potter, but look, he's probably just not up to their quality over fences. But, you know, he could be well up to winning this, I think, I don't think the English handicapper has been too harsh to me. I think he's only up a pound on his Irish mark.
Yeah.
Likes the track. Like he was second in the champion bumper. He was a long way behind, but he was third in the Supreme last year. I think he'd have to have a massive shout, like you'd have to say. Another one who I think has a bit of a squeak as well, Midnight Run at 20 to 1 for Joseph O'Brien. He's a 9-year-old, but he's still a novice chaser and he's probably not fully exposed, I'd have to say. Like he's a Grade 2 winner over fences. Yeah, I think I was down at Joseph's on Friday doing a stable tour, and like I'd say he probably just has a small bit up his sleeve yet. So yeah, those are the two I'd be keeping an eye out for on that one, probably at nice enough prices.
Can I echo those Midnight Run thoughts? I backed him at Christmas, actually. I spoke to a couple of people and they said they were going to go to Limerick for the race that Jerry Colomb won because they wanted to step up in trip. And then obviously they've gone to the race that some wild won. But I think he's got plenty up his sleeve as well. I think he's a very nice horse. Whether they go to the Grand Annual with him or whether they go to the plate, we're obviously not too sure. But I'd echo that thought. I thought he was quite well, decent mark of 146.
Yeah, I would be a fan of that myself as well. I liked the horse earlier on in the season. I think you could have a nice one there, Emma. Killian?
I'd agree with Emma on Kilcrut. I think the form of that Jerry Colomb Grade 1 in Limerick is very strong. Like adamantly chosen the horse I really like. I've been talking about him for months. I think he's brilliant, and he ran a really good race behind Jerry Colomb, and like he finished second. Now he was well beaten behind Mighty Potter. I'd be interested in him if he goes here off 153. Like he's only a 6-year-old. Now he was a small bit. I think I backed him in the Martin Pipe last year. I backed him in the Galway Hurdle as well. He was just a bit disappointing those big field handicaps last year. So maybe he might have grown up a small bit, and maybe this time he might go a bit better. But the one I really like is a faster slow for Martin Brazel. Now I saw a few people on Twitter just questioning where he got his mark from. It's 150, so he's rated 147 in Ireland over fences. 21 lengths behind Gallopin Deschamps, 26 lengths behind Gentleman de Me. I think their hand was sort of forced there this season. Like he won over in France. Going back to 2019, he won a chase there, so he wasn't eligible to run in novice chases, and then they had to run him in those graded races. I just think I was chatting to Paddy Aspel, was on here for the Dublin Racing Festival preview, and his father is the racing manager for Sean Moraine, and he just said he was a horse to look out for, and he thought he'd run a good race in Leopardstown at the DRF. So he was a small bit disappointed that day, but going back up in trip to 2.5 miles, I think it'll suit him, and he's not a bad price, about 12 to 1 there, but he'd be my main one, and like adamantly chosen if he ran, then maybe.
Okay, very good. And that brings us on then to our final race of the day, the Kim Muir Amateur Jockeys Handicap. I probably have one that I like in this, Mr. Incredible. He sort of went quite sour there at Henry de Bromhead's, and just whatever has changed, or that he seems to be back to himself. He was brought down there at Leopardstown in the Paddy Power Chase over Christmas, ran very well at Warwick early January. And I just feel that at 144, he could easily be 7, 8, 9 pound well in there. You know, he's quite lightly raced. He's still only a 7-year-old. He's well found in the market now. I don't know if he's about 4 or 5 to 1, but that'd definitely be the one that I'd be looking at, and you can be sure too that he'll have a good jockey on him.
I agree.
Yeah, sorry. You go ahead, Ash. Go on.
I agree on Mr. Incredible. This is my one for the race. I was at Warwick for the Classic Chase, and I thought he ran an absolute belter from going from a different postcode there. He's finished 3 lengths behind I Will Do It, who's a very nice horse. You know, they had Grand National ambitions for him, and they have Grand National ambitions for this horse. I think he's got a couple of pounds up his sleeve off 145. I think he's very interesting. I'll give a shout to Am I Right? I thought he's run a good race the last day behind the Devil's Coachman. Ramillies obviously was first past the post and then he got overturned. I think he's very interesting off 142 for Henry de Bromhead. I think that's quite a lenient mark, and I'd be willing to take him each way. But my main one is definitely Mr. Incredible.
Yeah, I was actually speaking to, or as I mentioned, I was speaking to Gavin Cromwell on Sunday, and he mentioned Stumptown as one he was really looking forward to running. Look, he's favoured in the market. It's obvious. I think Barry O'Neill's been booked as well, which is a big plus for him. Only a 6-year-old, like it's hard to know how much more he can improve. The one thing, this trends for this race are a bit funny. I don't think what was the trend? There was only 2 of the last 19 runners have won on their previous start, which would be against him because he's actually won on his last 2 starts. Look, I agree with you on Mr. Incredible as well. When I was actually down at Uni Mullins at an open morning a few months ago, I kind of hung around for a bit afterwards, and I was out in the gallop with Patrick, and he was kind of pointed this horse out to me in particular. I think Paul Brown bought him out of Henry de Bromhead's, and he's been a bit of a project for Patrick, I think, for the last kind of year or so. They've kind of employed some really interesting training techniques with him. So, like, I think Patrick probably wouldn't be going to this much hassle with the horse if he didn't think he'd a massive engine. Like, so I agree with you on the Warwick one. I thought, I think Brian Hayes just was trying to get him to finish his race, really. I don't think that was his big day. He owed him to kind of keep him sweet. The Grand National is probably his overall target, but he could probably pick up this on the way if he gets his run of the race. The last day he ran on with his ears pricked. I don't think he even ran a race the last day. If his head was in it, I think he could definitely take this one. It'll be interesting to see if Woody might put some kind of headgear on him, because I think 8 of the last 12 winners of this have worn headgear. Whether or not he'd take to it, like would he take the blinkers? Would he go sour? Maybe cheek pieces or something like that. But yeah, I think he'll take a bit of beating. Gordon has obviously a great record in this race as well. He's got Dunboyne at about 10 to 1, second in Tayeste's last time behind Carefully Selected, so he'd have to be respected as well. But no, I'm with you on Mr. Incredible here.
Very good. Killian, do you have anything to add to that?
Not really. I'd find it very hard to back Mr. Incredible. I know he's behaved himself now the last twice, but like, he's such a monkey. He can't get over what he was doing last year when he was in the Grade 1 over in Punches or Leopardstown at Christmas. Just plonked himself at the start, wouldn't stir, and then pulled himself up in Tremor. Like, he gave it was actually gas watching him that day. He gave Darren no choice. He was just like, I'm done now, good luck. I hear he was a very hard horse to even get to go up a gallop at one stage, blowing Henry's. Yeah, I'd find it very hard to put money on him. I'd like Angel's Dawn if she ran in it, but I don't know, is she going there or to Utoxeter? I know Declan Carroll from Under Started Orders was talking about her for Utoxeter. But yeah, like she looked to have, she was traveling really well in Punchestown the last day. And I just wonder, would she go here? I think they're dependent on what the ground is like to see where they decide to go. But I suppose she'd be an interesting one. And then next destination, like, I know he's a long time off the track since he was beaten by Galvin in the National Hunt Chase, but like, he was really high class. He won two Grade 1s as a novice hurdler over in Ireland, third in a Ballymore, and like as I said, only beaten a length and a half by Galvin in front of Escaria-Tin, who's another really good horse in the 4 miler a couple of years ago, like down to 145. You know, be interesting to see who if he does run and who Nicky gets on him. Like does that Nicky like them Nicky and Paul Nichols, Willie, they're experts at getting these horses back, and like if he retained any bit of ability, he might run a big race.
Yep. Okay, right. Before we finish up on the Thursday, I'll just ask you all for your best bet of the day. Emma, we'll start with you.
Blazing Cal stairs hurdle.
Okay, Ash.
Mighty Potter for the Turners. Could I also mention Angel's Dawn? They're going to try and go for the Kim Muir, but it's whoever they get in, because she's up 1-3-1 and she's number 41, I think, on my screen.
So she'll be up against it.
Yeah.
So
okay, Killian.
Mighty Potter.
Okay, and I'm actually going to go with an each way double. Appreciate it, and Janadil. I just think Willie, the form he's in, that you would know he could go and pick up both of them. If he doesn't pick up both of them, they should both place anyway. Right, on to day 2. So we start off with the Triumph Hurdle. Willie will surely be winning this, totally dominating the top of the market. Although Comfort Zone is probably a nice alternative. Killian, we'll start with you here. Which one of Willie's wins it?
Blood Destiny. I was for Blood Destiny before the Dublin Racing Festival. I thought like what he did in Cork was very impressive, beating a good horse who's well fancied for the Boodles and in Sir Alan. And then like I know maybe the horses in Fairy House, they didn't want to get too close to him, but like it was a complete demolition. Like I think, like as some I think Paddy Aspel was on here, and he was saying like they probably thought that he was going to come back to them, and like Paul got a breather into him, sort of slowed him up, and then just went again and bet them nearly 20 lengths. Like Nuzret's came out and won the Adonis over in Kempton. Common Practice was well fancied in that handicap Gaelic Warrior one at the Dublin Racing Festival. He unseated that day, like, so the form in behind is pretty good, like, so he'd be the one I'd like. I suppose a few question marks over Lossiemouth after the last day, and she'd a very difficult race, so it's a bit disappointing she's gone into favourite. I thought she might stick there, but we have to back the winner anyway, I suppose. Blood Destiny.
Okay, Emma.
Yeah, I agree. Blood Destiny's probably become a bit of a talking horse now, I suppose, since the preview night started. Everyone's kind of going for him. But I agree with Killian there. I liked him after his run in Cork. I actually backed him for the Triumph back then. I thought he was very impressive visually. And, you know, I just think he's probably a strong stayer, and sometimes a stayer can win the juvenile hurdle rather than a speed horse. So I'm with him. Look, I wouldn't be totally ruling out Comfort Zone. He has the track form at Cheltenham, which, you know, you'd have to think would stand to a juvenile an awful lot. He won a grade 2 there earlier on in the year. But yeah, Blood Destiny for me, Lossiemouth, look, she was unlucky the last day, but I think she's probably beatable now. Gara Marceau, I'm not sure will she uphold the form of Lossiemouth. So yeah, Blood Destiny for me.
Who do you think Paul will ride then? Do you reckon Lossiemouth or Blood Destiny?
The vibes are Blood Destiny at the moment. It's hard to know, though. You know, there'll be a bit of pressure from Rich Ritchie to ride Lossiemouth. I don't think Rich Ritchie has had a Grade 1 winner since Waban won this, or since Waban won a Grade 1 last year, which is, you know, a long time for an owner like him.
Not? Okay.
I don't think so. Yeah, I think I heard that. I'm open to be proven wrong, but I think that's right. So, you know, will there be a bit of pressure to ride a Grade 1 winner for Rich if he hasn't had one already? Hard to know.
Yeah.
I think the vibes are probably Blood Destiny at the moment, but it's probably a guessing game, really, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I'd imagine if he does get off Lossiemouth will drift big time. Whereas if he stays with Lossiemouth, Blood Destiny won't drift really, you know. But definitely if he gets off Lossiemouth, you know, she'll be going out to 3-1, I reckon. Ash?
I'd probably be opposing here, and I'm willing to stick with Lossiemouth. I thought it was a massive run the last day. I was watching it with this photographer I know from Germany, and we were watching the race, and I just couldn't believe the absolute like horrid run she got through, and it was awful. Like she got done by her own stablemate. She had to come wide round there, and people were slating Paul Townsend for that. But I think that was really, he had two choices there. He could either stick on the insides, maybe 5 lengths back, hope there's a gap coming out and then go for it. Or he can try to take something into his own hands, go around the outside. He's got free rein, but he has to go just a little bit outside, a little bit longer, and hopefully he's got an engine under him. And I think she showed plenty there, but I think she's had too much of a torrid route through that she just hasn't got to Garland Marceau. I think she'll reverse the form of Garland Marceau. I'm fairly confident on, and Blood Destiny looks, and he be nice, obviously. He's a very good horse, but the last day beating a load of Boodles horses potentially. Like, I actually really like Common Practice for the Boodles, but you can really sort of guess that maybe they weren't wanting to get too close to Blood Destiny that day. I just really think Lossiemouth, and especially with the mares or the fillies allowance she gets, I'm really quite confident on Lossiemouth actually, because I thought she was unbeatable coming into Dublin Racing Festival. I actually thought she was unbeatable for the Triumph coming out of the Dublin Racing Festival in the way she just got no run through, and I think she's quite smart. It's actually interesting. She's just gone favourite on the exchanges by very minuscule amounts, but the amount of talk that's been in the preview nights, there was a massive sort of like plunge of money in there for Blood Destiny, and she's still holding herself at the top of the market. So there's definitely someone that likes her quite a lot with a bit more money than myself, and I'd say Lossiemouth for me.
Yeah, and I'd be in agreement with you as well. I thought she just ran into that race at Leopardstown was such a tough race in terms of the trouble that she met going around. And I'd love to see Richard back there in the winner's enclosure in Cheltenham. Such an eccentric character. I think it would be great, but I do think that Lossiemouth will be coming home in front there. And you'd imagine Blood Destiny should be following her home then. Brings us on then to our next graded race of the day is the Albert Bartlett. What a race that's wide open. A lot of horses there. With a lot of form that's sort of tying in together. It's very hard to get your head around it. I know 3-card Bragg has been talked up a hell of a lot. And I said him a few months ago probably on this, Killian, but I wouldn't even be getting involved with him now. I think it's just so wide open. I don't know what I'll do, but I'll leave you start there, Killian, sure.
Would Corbett's Cross definitely go, I wonder, like?
I think he
No,
will.
I don't.
No?
He's not confirmed. I don't think so. I was
Yeah.
actually, I'd say he had a hard race the last day. Like
He did, yeah. Like, it was a strange decision to see him going down to 2 miles. Like, I don't know, they're too bothered with this. Like, I'd say that they don't care about the Bartlett. They were happy enough to win the last day, and sure, they could go novice chasing. You don't know what they're going to do. Like Emmett mentioned that afterwards, like, and he'd be very eccentric in his ways as well, like, so he could do anything with this horse. Yeah, I to be honest, I don't think he'll turn up, and I couldn't have Embassy Gardens as favourite. I think that the first 3 home in the Sure Hall in Clonmel are going to be the first 3 home again. I don't know what order. Monty Star, Hidden Valley Lake, and Search for Glory. I think they'll be the first 3 home in this, but I'm not sure what way. I'm told Monty Star is going to improve for better ground. I didn't notice that myself now, but I backed him at 80s on the exchange before he ran in Clonmel, and I didn't expect him to get as close to Hidden Valley Lake even beat him. Like, I know he was getting £6, but I thought it was a really, really good run. Now they didn't go that quick, and like he was still on the bridle turning in, and he just sort of, like, it looked like you'd be taking out Hidden Valley Lake out of the race as opposed to Monty Star nearly. But I don't know what the price is there. I still, like, 10 to 1. You can get 22s on the exchange on Monty Star. Still, I'd be for him anyway.
Okay, Ash, you're nodding your head in agreement.
Yeah, I was actually DMing Emma about this. I thought the first 3 from that race were very good. And if I was to pick one from the 3, I'd actually take the one that was finishing third that day in what's his name now? Search for Glory. I think this could be a smashing chaser in time. A really, really good chaser. I think I wouldn't be surprised to see this turn up in a National Hunt Chase next year. I think this horse stays really, really well. They tried to go sort of quite prominent with him for Gordon Elliott, and just kept staying on at the near side. Essentially just got done by 2 quicker horses on the day. Maybe took a little bit out of him going from the front too much there, but I thought he was really, really good, and he kept on at the finish. I thought 20 to 1 was massive for him, really, and I was really taken by the run. I could see him definitely being sort of like a National Hunt Chase type, and you want to be going close in this one. So I say Search for Glory probably from that trio. While we're on the topic of Corbett's Cross, I sort of just pulled up there in the background some quotes from Emmett Mullins we got on the handicap weights lunch from Cheltenham. He said he's been a bit of a talking horse since the weekend. That's what he said it. And to be fair, he's in very good form coming into it, so he has to be taken seriously wherever he turns up. He's definitely a horse to look forward to. I'd say he was more inclined to talk about his runner for the Foxhunters, or sorry, the Hunters Chase, than actually Corbett's Cross. Like for the Bartlett, like I say, there was a bit more of a twinkle in his eye talking about the Hunters Chase horse, and that could be because Corbett's Cross potentially isn't coming here. Or there's even chat afterwards. I was listening to a couple of people that they were considering supplementing him potentially for the Ballymore because he ran over that sort of shorter distance. So I think just the nervousness of where he might turn up, where he might not turn up, is a reason to leave him alone. I've been a little bit of a fan of Favori de Champdou for a while now for Gordon Elliott.
Yes.
Yeah, I think he's really good. Like he's beat Let's Be Clear About It by 4 lengths the last day, and that's like gone to bolster by 22 lengths. Like whether there's substance in that form for Let's Be Clear About It, you don't know, but it seems like Gavin Cromwell thinks he's got a nice horse with him there. And for Favori de Champdou to be winning that day, how he did as well was very, very smart. I'd be seriously interested by him. I think AP McCoy actually napped him for the whole festival from the William Hill preview night, I believe, which
That's
I thought
that's a very funny and interesting nap coming
don't
from
quote me on
AP
that.
McCoy.
Don't quote me on that. I'm going to try to find it somewhere, but it perks my interest a little bit seeing that, and I've been quite interested by him for a while. And I'll give one more shout to a horse of Paul Nicholls' Stay Away Faye. I thought this is a quite nice horse. I maybe wasn't too blown away with his run the last day behind Maximilian, and that form, it isn't really good enough to be winning something like this. But you hear the comments from Harry Cobden and Paul Nicholls, and they say they're quite sort of a little bit quietly confident in the prices of this horse. So you've got 3 each way horses there. So take them to war, back them all each way, and you can have a lovely trifecta on your hands.
Okay, yeah, and actually, interesting one on Stay Away Faye is that he actually bet Monty Star in his point to point.
Correct. Yeah. I know,
which is a not that it'll matter too much, you'd imagine, come next week, but an interesting one all the same. Just on Favori de Champdou, is that even how we pronounce it?
I'm going for it. So
yeah. It sounds right. I quite like him too, and he's got. Well, first of all, it's a very open race, and the profile that you're always looking for this race was a horse who was battle hardened, had a good few runs, and maybe not the most flashiest type in the world. Maybe in the last year or two, that's maybe changed a small bit, but I think he's gone back to the older type. Like he's on the go a long time. He had 3 runs in bumpers, and then he was injured for a couple of years, and then he came back second in his maiden hurdle, out again for a full year, and now he's come back again, and he just has 3 wins in his last 3 starts. And he's just like, he's a different profile. He's 8 years of age, and there's something about him that I do like him. But again, it's such an open race. You couldn't be going in with too much confidence in any of them, because you could make cases for all of them. And Killian is going to make a case for something here, I'm sure, are you? Oh, Killian, you spoke, didn't you?
I've already gone.
Emma.
Yeah, no, I'd be confident in Corbett's Cross if he showed up, to be honest. I think he'd be very, very hard to beat. But like, will he go is the question. Like, we were talking about it earlier on the week, and maybe the fact that JP, I'd imagine JP spent an awful lot of money on this fella. Like, would he want to get a Cheltenham winner? Maybe so. Or look, I think the plan with him originally was go the kind of Noble Yates route, go for the Grand National as a novice next year. Now, whether that'll change or not, like he could be probably a grade 1 chaser he's looking like at the moment now, so they might change plans on that one. Like, but look, 3-car Bragg is a horse I'd like for a long time, but look, you want to be a bit softer for him. He looks like a real stayer, and he likes to go cut on the ground. Like as you were saying, the Shore Hall, you could make a shout for all the 3 of those. I think maybe one Chambly Kid has a bit of a squeak at 14-1. He beat Monty's Star last time out. He was a bumper winner for Richard O'Brien. He was bought by Willie after that, after he beat a fancy horse with his Polo Lounge, I think. Probably, I think he's a bit of a squeak, owned by Gigginstown. But look, you could name as many as you want. Let's be clear about it for Gavin Cromwell. Another one, he was a very good bumper horse. Kind of fits the profile. He's kind of battle hardened. He's got plenty of running done. He was behind American Mike earlier on in the season. He's got... Normally takes a good enough horse to beat. Let's be clear about it. Like, so you'd say he'd have to have a good shout as well. My IrishRacing.com colleague Vincent Finnegan had a very good shout, I think, for Seabank Bistro 22-1. you look at him, like he was fourth in the champion bumper last year, and he was only, I think, 3 lengths behind Corbett's Cross when they met at Limerick earlier on the season. So like at 22-1, he looks like a big bet for me as well.
Okay, yeah, okay, very good. Look, we'll move on to the biggest race of the week, the Cheltenham Gold Cup. And just before I go on about it and say how competitive a race it is, again, I've mentioned it on the podcast before. Last year, there was this big furore about National Hunt racing and how uncompetitive Cheltenham was and how it needed to be reduced down to 2 days and whatnot. But now when you look at it this year, it's completely flipped on its head. While the Thursday is a bit weak in terms of you've got 3 handicaps there and the Grade 2 mares novice, in terms of the competitive nature of all the races, we've very few short priced favourites. We've got Shishkin, and there's a lot of doubts about him really, and then Constitution Hill, who looks rock solid, which you're going to have a few of them. But it shows that at least this year the Cheltenham Festival is in a very good place. Emma, I'll start with you here. So Gallopin Des Champs is top of the market, 6-4. Are you looking past him?
No, look, I think Gallopin Des Champs, like, he's probably my winner. I've been saying it for a while. I'm with him. Look, he is skimpy enough in the market, which would probably be a bit of a worry. Like, it's such a test of jumping, test of stamina. It's hard to kind of back a horse at that price. But I think, if Gallopin Des Champs turns up in top form, it's going to take something very special to beat him. Like, when you look through, you can make a case for so many of them, though. Like, I mean, even look at Manila Indo there at 20-1. Gold Cup winner, second in it last year. His form at Cheltenham is brilliant. At 20-1, he probably looks too big as well.
Statler is smiling as you mentioned Manila.
Yeah, I mean, I think, did they book Mark Walsh? I think they were saying
They did, yeah, Mark Walsh.
Yeah. I mean, that's a plus as well. He'd have to have a massive chance. You'd say, like, at 20-1, he'd have to be bang there if he's in good form. Statler, like, he'll get a lot closer to Gallopin Des Champs, you'd have to say, with the more of a stamina test in Cheltenham, the extra 2 furlongs. Outside of that, look, there's loads of them. But look, I'm with Gallopin Des Champs, Manila Indo each way, 20-1 for me as well.
Okay, very good. Killian, do you want to follow that up?
Manila Indo, I'd love to see him win it. Like, I'll burst abroad in it if he wins. I saw Henry's stable touring at the races the other day, and he said it's the best preparation for Cheltenham he's ever got, which is strange, like, considering, like, he usually needs a couple of runs to get going. Like, I remember I was told before he won his maiden hurdle, like before he ran the maiden hurdle, that you could basically have what you wanted him. He was beaten 10 lengths in Limerick Christmas, like a small farm, a horse that hardly ran again since for Willie, bet him 10 lengths. Took him a while to get going, and eventually, like, he won the Bartlett as easy as he liked, and then came back and won a grade 1 in Punchestown. Then, like, look, his form in Cheltenham is outrageous. Like, that's where all his best runs come. Like looking at it there, like 169 racing post rating in the RSA, 179 in the Gold Cup when he won it, 172 last year. Like, he's just a different horse over there, and like, you could nearly guarantee, like, he's going to be thereabouts jumping the last, and like, whatever passes him will probably win it. And I just think that against Gallopin Des Champs, maybe it might be just a year too soon for him. Is it a bit like a Plutard the first year he went, that just a bit inexperienced and just a bit younger, and like, would he get outstayed by another horse? I'd be very interested in Noble Yates each way as well. Like, I think that the cheek pieces coming back on him now, like that he had on over an entry when he won really well over just over 3 miles that day. I didn't think he was that turn of foot that he showed in entry, and like the last day in Cheltenham, I'd forgive him that. Like, he only beaten 2 lengths. He gave £3 to High Senior as well. He'd be my each way bet, but I'd love to see Indo do it again.
Yeah, and just going back to Indo, and I know obviously he only had the 1 run. I don't know if you saw it, I don't know where I saw it, but it was Robbie Power who seemed to make the change in tactics this year, we'll say. He just highlighted the fact that he hasn't ran well pre-Christmas throughout his whole career, and that he's 10 years of age. How many more good runs does he have left in him? And to leave him off until New Year's Day there at Tramore. So look, it's an interesting angle, but like, I think if a 10-year-old Manila Indo is going to win this, like, what does it say about everything else? You know, you've
He's the champ. He's coming back. Like,
yeah, but look, I like he can be. You can say he can be there or thereabouts, but he won't be there. He might be thereabouts. Is the way I look on it.
what you mean he won't
Like
be there, but he'll be thereabouts? Like,
he won't be there.
Like.
He won't be winning, but he might be thereabouts, but he won't win.
He'll be in the frame. He'll be
Like
very close.
Noble Yates there, for example, up and coming horse after winning a Grand National with a hell of a lot of class. Statler too. Well, even Galloping Deschamps is the main one. You know, look, Ash, we'll move on to you there before I go through Galloping Deschamps.
I'd just like to say on Menenderindo, I think it's very interesting the preparation he's got. Like, he had 4 runs before he won his Gold Cup, which let's be, it wasn't a vintage Gold Cup. You know, Aplutar was in second, Album Photo was third, but then the rest of that it wasn't too much. So Frodon was running in it. I think Black Op was in there for Tom George. You know, so like it wasn't maybe a vintage Gold Cup, and then he's finished second last year off 3 runs. So it's obviously very interesting. They just had the one run into this. Who's receiving weight off Statler to win the last day and coming into it. I think that's interesting, and it's either going to be a case of he wins it or it's bust in the way that his preparation is. And so if you're going on the wins it like Killian is, then fair play to you. I wish you all the best, really, because yeah, it's definitely worse 20-1 bets than you could have in a former winner like that. I just think, first of all, I think Galopin Des Champs, you take him on. I love this horse. I was a Martin Pike backer for him, and I've been following him all the way through. I absolutely love him. He's probably in my top 5 favorite sort of like horses in training currently. And if he wins, I said this on the recent video we did for the channel. Like if he wins, I'll be the first one in there, like clapping him in, congratulating Willie, saying well done, what an amazing horse, because I absolutely love him. But I think there's just so much scope to take him on with. This is a good Gold Cup. This is a very good Gold Cup. You got Aplutard, who was this machine last year, who won it. People couldn't see him being beat this year, and then he's obviously come out and maybe not done too well the last day. And then you got Brave Man's Game, Statler, Noble Yates. But I mean, the forgotten horse. I feel like I'm the only one beating this drum is Conflated. I love Conflated. I think he's fantastic. And any preview I listen to, and I would say I won't listen to tons. Like I probably don't listen to tons, but like Conflated only gets mentioned by people that are in the yard, and the people that are in the yard, you know, like Jamie Codd was mentioning it, I think on the Sky Sports one, they really like him. And like Gordon Elliott was saying, his preparation coming into this is fantastic. I really actually like that they missed the Irish Gold Cup with him. Like he's a horse that is good fresh. They got the race wrong last year. Gordon Elliott's held up his hands, and I think people were saying that before he even said that. Like he got the race completely wrong. He was going to finish second to Allaho. He's run a belting race behind Clan des Obeaux, which is pretty much the Clan des Obeaux memorial race at Aintree. Like he always wins it. And Conflated came from a different parish to finish second that day. He's run a good race at Down Raw season opener to finish third there. You couldn't give him away. He was 13-2. I think he drifted from 4s all the way out to 13-2. Like no one could give him away. And then like look, the form of a Savills Chase maybe isn't the best. Like Kenboy, yes, has won the next day, but he's obviously not as good as he used to be. Fury Rose actually ran a good race behind Galopin Des Champs. Franco Deport's going for the cross country. Prince Dynamite's a nifty one, and Galvin's going for the cross country as well. The form isn't there, but I thought the way he did it was just incredible. Like he's up and coming horse. They've obviously taken their time with him because he is a 9-year-old. He's not a spring chicken, but they've obviously taken their time with him. I'd say this is the year. And this year, and look, he may not be good enough in the end. And I was in the Galvin train last year, and I was very sad coming down the hill to see he really not having a chance. And it could be the same this year, but I think there's plenty of scope to take on Galopin Des Champs because I was very nervous throughout his whole run at the Dublin Racing Festival. I didn't really like how he went over his fences until after the last. So I'll be firmly in the Conflated train at 14-1 is an absolutely knocking bet personally.
Yeah. I wouldn't be quite in the Conflated train, but I can definitely see your point on him. The train I would be on with you is against Galopin Des Champs, just purely for the point of view of all the horses there taking them on, and there's such good alternatives at much better prices.
Sorry, wasn't it one of you that I watched a video of yours? Didn't talk about the Gold Cup. Didn't one of you say that he's the lay of the week or something?
It was you, I think.
Me?
Yeah, I think someone said it was a lay.
You did. I'm telling you,
the lay of the week. I don't think I've ever used that phrase. I think that's the first time I've ever said it there.
But you said there's so much in it. Yeah, you were.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I'd be firmly against them. Another interesting stat is that of the last 25 Irish Gold Cup winners, only one of them has won a Cheltenham Gold Cup. And that's not even in the same year. That's just in general. The one horse who did do it was Sizing John. I think that you just need such a different horse over 3 miles at Leopardstown than you do over 3 miles 2 in Cheltenham. I think it's a world apart. Now, look, Sizing John was good enough to do both. You know, he had enough stuff about him to do both. Galloping the Champ very well could. But for that reason, I think he's very flashy, and I think that I'd be against him for that reason, I suppose. Like, you think back even Q Card, like, he reminds me of a Q Card, very good horse, but just the extra 2 furlongs maybe just a small bit too much for him. He's not a out and out stayer. Vautour was probably going to be along the same lines. Classy horse, obviously. Died quite early and didn't get his chance to go in it, but I would have seen him to be on the same type of horse, we'll say. I think Noble Yates at 8-1 is the bet here each way. Like, he's as good as any of them, I'd say, in the race. The turn of foot that Killian mentioned that he showed at Aintree, I didn't think he had it. We know that he'll stay as well, if not better, than anything else in the race. If he's there jumping the last, you know, he'll be coming home very strongly. A Plutard is another interesting one. I think it's so hard to do Gold Cups back to back, and a Plutard, just even the way that his career or his season has gone since he won, like, is he going to be one of the outliers and do it back to back? It's probably unlikely. You know, I'd be surprised, but you know, he's a classy horse, and I'd sooner back him each way than I'd back Galloping the Champ. Brave Man's Game I couldn't have. Not a Cheltenham horse. Flat Track Bully, no chance. Statler will be closer to Galloping the Champ. Sort of comparing all these to Galloping the Champ, but Statler will definitely be closer than he was at Leopardstown. Like, I talk about the 3 mile at Leopardstown, the 3 mile 2 at Cheltenham. The 3 mile 2 will suit Statler, whereas the flat 3 miles would be more Galloping the Champ. But look, I'd be Noble Yates. That's where I'd be going. So just to recap your final thoughts on a Killian, you were Manella Indo, I'm Noble Yates, Ash Conflated, and Emma
Galloping des Champs. Yeah.
Galloping des Champs.
I think the horse everyone would want to see win is probably Hewitt. Like,
Yeah.
I'd say everyone would love to see
yeah.
the Shark win it. Like, I was there the day he won the Galway Plate. It was some performances, like nearly 12 stone. He was carrying 11 stone, 7 or 8 or something, like, and the way he was carried over the line by the loose horse, nearly, like, and he'd have won down in Listowel too, like, so, like, he's coming there off winning over in America, and I don't know, I'd be probably, the break isn't ideal. Like, I'd like to see him have a run between then, but
what price did he go off on the day?
I don't know.
The 33s. I don't think there'll be much money for him on the day. He's 20-1 there now at the moment with Paddy Power, and I'd say he'll go out to 33s easily.
Yeah, I backed him earlier in the season, but I was kind of hoping it would cut up a bit more, to be honest. It looks very competitive. Like, you know, he'd probably a few of them would probably have to underperform really if he was going to place. Like, but he should have won a good race. So if he's happy his ground anyway. Yeah.
Okay. Well, look, we'll move on from there. So the next race we're going to look at is the Foxhunters Chase. So David Christie is stacked here at the top of the market, and there's quite a few other nice horses, we'll say, such as Chris's Dream, Secret Investor, Brain Power, horses who have maybe ran, you know, on the rules the last couple of years and wouldn't be your typical Foxhunter horse. Ash, we'll start with you here.
I did a piece for the Cheltenham Post, which is sort of the regular column that I write for, and I did a section saying sort of like the favourite I'd take on, and Vorsley was the one really for me. It's not anything that he's done. I liked the horse, and I backed him to be Billaway at Punchestown, so I was absolutely sick when he clattered the last and got done by Billaway. I just think there's just a bit more substance to everyone else's form, really. Like, he's gone to Stratford, he's obviously beaten Law of Gold by 4 lengths. Then he's he's won a point to point, and then he goes and wins at Down Royal, giving a little bit of weight away to Dorking Cock there. But like, I just think you can take him on, really. And the issue is with this race, I'd be more confident on it if I knew what was going. Like, Ferns Lock, they said they weren't going to go, but they've entered it after they said they weren't going to go. So who knows at that stage really what's happening with that horse? Wing Leader, you'd assume that if Vorsley is going here, he's going to Aintree, but again, he ran such a good race the last year. I don't know, like where he's going. I haven't heard anything anywhere unless anyone's able to enlighten me. And I heard murmurs that Flamers Clermont, they might actually go to this race with him. So it's very interesting. But the one I'd be lining on is Secret Investor for Paul Nicholls. Very interesting on his media day. He's bringing these horses out. He probably brought out maybe 8 or 9 horses for the photographers, and then we spoke about a few more sort of like privately in a little huddle. And he's bringing these horses out. He brought out Secret Investor to walk around, and I missed it on my phone because I was just changing over voice recordings. But I put many pounds on him, saying the fact that he said, "Oh, here's one of our better chances of the week coming out now." And it was Secret Investor. Natalie Parker will get the ride. She rode him to win a banger in February of this year. And he's just like he beat Clanders Obo in the Denman Chase, and then he's broken down after that, and then he's come back and ran off an absolutely ludicrous mark of 158 in a handicap, not done anything. There's no way he was getting anywhere near the same postcode as the winners in that race off that mark. He's then won 200 chases very well. And I think he's just the class act in this race. Like he's fairly lightly raced since that Denman Chase because of the issues they had with him. It seems like they've got him back to somewhere near where you could take a Hunter's Chase with him. Maybe not near to his best, but I feel like he's a very classy horse in this. And it'd be Secret Investor. But I also hear murmurs about Chris's Dream as well for Henry de Bromhead, who's a very interesting horse. I've heard bits and pieces about him, and he'd obviously come there if he returned to anywhere near his back class form. He's obviously won 2 points since finishing 11th to Longhouse Poet in the 2022 Fiestes. Like he'd have a chance as well. And then you've got the likes of Bob and Co in there as well. And Emmett Mullins was interested by this. It's the horse. It's called It's on the Line. Emmett Mullins is very interested by that. I made a point to bring that up at the Cheltenham Weight. So I think there's plenty of horses to take on if you were taking on Borselay. I think there's plenty of horses in behind, but I'd be having money on Secret Investor.
Okay, Emma.
Yeah, look, it's not really a race I bet on much, to be honest. It's a bit unpredictable. Billaway, I thought it was interesting. I think Patrick mentioned they might put blinkers on him for the first time here. So, will that bring out a bit more improvement in him? Hard to know. He's been second in it twice. He won it last year. Is he kind of coming to the end of his kind of spree in the race? Hard to know. Look, Farns Lock, if he showed up, like it's kind of, as Ash was saying, like they said they weren't going to go here. But look, he was brilliant in Thurles, and he beat Billaway by about 20 lengths, I think, that day. But I think the comments afterwards would make you a small bit worried, even if he did show up. I think they were saying, he's a young horse, and the occasion might probably get him there. So, probably be a bit worried about that, even if he did show up. Chris's Dream is definitely an interesting one for me. He was a very high class chaser in his day. He won the Troy Town, I think, and I think he might have won the Red Mills Chase at Goran as well in his day.
Did, yeah.
So so he's a very good horse, and I think Maxine O'Sullivan has been riding him in his point to points. It'll be interesting to see. I think she might have rode Emmett's horse last time as well. So who she ride might be a bit of a pointer here. But I think they actually produced Chris's Dream in his point to point days, so she might stick with that fella, I'd say. But I think he'll have a massive shout, but he'd probably want the ground a bit softer. If it came up soft in the day, because I think he's probably his best form is on heavy ground. If it came up soft in the day, I might have a small bet on Chris's Dream, maybe.
Okay, Killian.
I'd be for Chris's Dream as well. Yeah, you're right. They had him for 4 runs on the track and a couple of point to points as well. They sold him after he won a maiden hurdle in Limerick. I think Maxine is going riding him. As far as I know. Farns Lock's actually entered in a Hunter's Chase in Goran on Saturday.
Really?
That's what David Christie said. So I think the way he said he was going splitting them was he was putting Borselay in this. Farns Lock was going to Goran just because he was a bit young and inexperienced, and then Wing Leader going to Entry was how he was going to split them up. I think like I get the point at Secret Investor, and I saw that Paul gave him as one of his big chances of the week, and he's a very classy horse too when he won that Denman Chase and stuff. I just think Chris's Dream does have a lot of class too. Like he hosed up in a Troy Town off 146. He got a racing post rating of 167. Won the Red Mills as well. Like I think the key to him probably is softer, heavier ground. All his best runs have come with a cutting it. He's beaten a neck in the Grade 1 up north as well by the Storyteller. He had a couple of good, like he'd Presenting Percy and Delta working behind him that day. I think he was running a really good race when he unseated in the Beecher as well last season. I think people forget that too. Like that was off 162 in that handicap that Snow Leopardess won, and I think he'd have played a big part that day. bit below form in the Thyestes then, and I think he'd planned to go to the national. I think he picked up a bit of a knock, and they could put him away then for the season, and like he's hosed up on 2 points then. I don't even know. It says 3 lengths is the winning distance. The last, I think it was a good bit more than 3 lengths now, looking at the video. But I think he's a very good each way bet if it does come up softish.
Okay, yeah, fair enough. The one that probably stands out to me, Billaway, particularly, I didn't know about the blinkers. Still a very backable each way price. Obviously second in it twice, won it once. You know, he's nearly sets the standard that they all need to get to. And at 8-1, you could probably get a few more places than 3. You could get 5 maybe on the day. That would look like a sensible play to me. Going on to the Mayor's Chase, then it could be a double on the card for Rich Ritchie with another Mayor Allegor de Vassi. She's 11-8, Impervious 6-4. And the one that catches my eye further down the field is Riviere de Tell. The vibes are very good about her at the moment. I know I mentioned her on our Mayor's Chase podcast a couple of weeks ago. She was a bigger price then. She's shortened now. And I just think on her best form, she's not far away at all from the top of the market. You know, if she can bring her A game, and the vibes are that she'll be bringing her A game, then, you know, 16-1, I think is best priced at the moment. That's not a bad shout at all, in my opinion. Ash, you're nodding in approval.
I'm starting to think we're reading off the same script here, because Riviere de Tell, I'm agreeing with a lot of you're saying, James. And Riviere de Tell is one.
Good man.
Sign Ash. That's not a very good sign.
It's really bad. Cheltenham after the Martin Pipe. No, look, Riviere de Tell's been on my radar for a couple of weeks now. I think it was the stable tour with Gordon Elliott and the Racing Post that sort of like highlighted it to me, because I'll be honest, I just forgot about this horse. I forgot that she existed for a couple of months, and I saw it in there. I saw sort of like some interesting comments from Gordon, and you think, okay, interesting. Let's just actually go through the back form of this horse and see how this stacks up in a mare's chase. And you know, she's finished a length of Captain Guinness. She was receiving £10, admittedly, yes, but Captain Guinness is a very, very nice horse. That was at Navan in November. So that's just really good form to me. It actually beat Andy Dufresne, who's like one of these horses that's fancy for the Grand Annual, for mark of 155. Castle Grace Paddy was last of 4. You go further back than that. Like, she's run a good race in the Arkle. Like, she's run a very good race in the Arkle, and people weren't maybe talking about Arkle form as soon as it happened. They were saying it could be one of, you know, the weakest Arkles we've seen, but that form's stacking up really well. Like, Edwardstone has gone on to do absolutely wonders this season as an open chaser in Grade 1 company. You know, Gabby Nacco sadly not with us anymore. Blue Lord was in 3rd, been a very nice horse for Willie Mullins, Grade 1 winner now as well. Warlord, potentially a bit disappointing, but then like Horton Color was in behind Riviere de Tell. Course Sublime was running a good race, actually. Was it falling when Jerry's Flame won, maybe? Jeremy's Flame?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah. That's correct, yeah. And then Magic Days as well in there. So I think that form has got some substance to it. And then even before that, like, you have to take a leap to make sure that this horse is still right there. But she's only a 6-year-old. Now, I saw a tweet, I can't even remember who it was, who said that because of her Carlisle run the last day that she's gone at the game, she's this like awful animal or something like that. Like, she's only a 6-year-old. She's had one bad run at Carlisle, which was 14 days after her run in Navan, and she's had to travel over that wasn't for the festival. Like, you put a line through that instantly, wouldn't you? She finished half length off Blue Lord, obviously receiving the mare's allowance. St. Sam was in 3rd that day. Then was second to Fernie Lock in December 2021. Like, the form is just really good with this horse. I'm quietly confident that she's going to run a big race. And the vibes, like you said, James, are very good around this horse. Like, I respect the top 2 in the market massively. I really, really do. I think it's actually quite an interesting mare's chase, because I also rate Magic Days as a horse. But I'd say that if I was backing one away from the top 2, it'd be Riviere de Tell most times, if not all, and I'd be quietly confident in her to at least get into the fray. I'd be disappointed if she doesn't make it the top 3, in my opinion.
Okay, Emma.
Yeah, I have massive respect for Magic Days, to be honest, coming into this. Like, if you look at her last run, she beat Dino Blue, and that's kind of a similar form line to Impervious. I think Magic Days was actually given Dino Blue a few pounds, whereas and she beat her kind of similar kind of distance as when Impervious beat Dino Blue in Cork, but she was actually on level weights her that day. So I think their form is pretty it's pretty tied in together. So I think Magic Days probably looks a bit big at 10s when you consider that. Look, she didn't run great last year at Cheltenham, which is probably a downside for, that the track really suits her. But I think Allegory Devassi, the vibes about her are very, very strong. I think they think she could be kind of any kind of a machine. So I wouldn't be as worried about her jumping as a lot of people would be. Look, I think she was probably just a bit. I think Paul Townend and herself were probably just a bit lackadaisical, I suppose, coming to that fence in Thurles when they made the mistake that day. But the form of it's been frank since. Brides Hills, who she beat that day, came back to Thurles again and won the last week or the week before. So, I think she's been beating good mares. I think she could probably just be a class above them if she gets her jumping right on the day, which I don't think is that big a worry. I think Jeremy's Flame is a bit of a danger as well. She's a high class mare, but I think Magic Days probably at the prices is the bet for me. I don't think her form is too far behind the top two in the market, so I think she's probably a bit overpriced in there.
Okay, Killian finishes off there.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Impervious. I think she's very good. I think the form with Journey with Me is very strong. He's running this weekend in a grade 3, I think, in Naas on Sunday. Like if he comes out and wins that, I'm not sure what's in it. Devil's Coachman, Saldier, Dino Blues entered. She probably won't go. Mars Harper, Gold Cup bait. There's a few nice horses in it. Like if he goes out and wins that, it puts a bit more substance to the form there. Like she was £8 wrong that day. She was giving him £1 when she should really getting 7. Like, so that was a very impressive run. I think she's just more. There's like Allegory Devassi. I thought she did jump markedly right both days. Like and I just think that there's Impervious jumps. She's like a dagger. She's very straight over them, and it's just a pity. I'd like to see Galia Des Lateau run here. I know she's probably going to go to the Brown Advisory. But like if it came up soft here, like I think I backed her in Kempton in the Cauto Star. I thought she had a great chance, and like after the second fence, her race was over. But like I thought she was really impressive in Warwick. I know it was heavy ground, but if it came up soft on the Friday, like, or if the rain was forecast in the week, I'd like to see them go to this instead. I think she'd have a serious chance.
Okay, fair enough. We'll loop back around and we'll do the handicaps very briefly because I'm conscious that we don't want to go on too long. So on the Friday we've got the County Hurdle and the Martin Pipe. I'd hit the County Hurdle. I've nothing for the Martin Pipe, but I do have the winner of the County Hurdle. Sharjah wins the County Hurdle. I think he loves Cheltenham, 2nd and 2 champion hurdles, behind Stateman twice this year. Dropped handsomely enough for it. He was rated 164 there back before sort of injuries, down to 155 now. He goes well there. He liked the ground. Horses up towards the top of the weights have done well in this. Petit Mouchoir was 2nd in it in 2021. I think he was rated 158. Arctic Fire won it off 158 for Willie as well. Lammy Surge was 2nd that year off 152. I think the Sharjah is a class horse. I still think he's got class. I know he's 10. I think he's good enough to go and win this. And I've nothing for the Martin Pipe. So Killian, we'll go over to you.
There's a lad myself and James are friends with, Paul Sutton, his name is. He's the self-confessed county hurdle man. And he didn't know all the rules today, but he landed on one, and it's a pity actually that they changed the rules. Dr. Bravo. He's going to run the Supreme, and I know Gordon's been talking him up quite good, but his Irish mark's 135. Like if they've, it's a pity, that you need 4 runs now to run in these handicaps. Well, because imagine if he went into this, he'd have a serious chance.
Just to cut across you, that was another actually little point that I didn't make that I wanted to make on Sharjah is it's an advantage to a horse like him there that you won't have these estate man like horse there in the race.
Oh, it is.
It reduces that, so that's another little plus. And did you have anything for the Martin Pipe, Killian?
The Martin Pipe, no, and I've nothing for the County Hurdle either.
No bother. Okay, you're grand, Emma.
I've 2 in the County Hurdle actually. I'm kind of looking at Phil Dore. I think kind of thinking on the same form lines as yourself. Thought he was very good when he beat Sharjah. Look, no guarantee he's going to show up here. I think he's entered nearly everything he can possibly run in. So, but I think he probably have a good chance if he ran in this. I think 5-year-olds have a very good record in the race. So I think he'd be coming into it kind of a little bit unexposed. He was 2nd in the juvenile behind Bob Ann last year, so he likes the track. And I think, if he showed up here, I think he'd take an awful lot of beating. Another one I've been looking at, I think he's around 14-1, so it's a good each way price anyway if he did run. And another one I had was Colonel Mustard. He ran in the Muir battle. He was a good second last time at the weekend. Look, he was third behind State Man last year. It's rock solid form. Couldn't have worked out better. I mean, look, I think he was only not too far behind State Man. I'm not sure exactly how far he was, but look, he likes the track, obviously. Very reliable horse. You know, when he's there, he'll own his race, and I think good each way bet at 14-1 as well.
Okay, very good. Ash?
Jin Coco, I'm going to represent the British here. I think he's got a smashing chance. I was all over him for the Great Wood Hurdle. The admitted hurdle down the home straight wouldn't have been to his liking. He's run into I like to move it, who's some people's idea of the champion hurdle third potentially. You know, so like he's a very good horse. That form has been backed up from I like to move its Kingwell hurdle win. So you have to give Jin Coco a chance at 10-1. Harry Fry, brilliant trainer. I'd also give a small shout to Milkwood for Neil Mulholland, a horse that people have slightly forgotten about. Like there was a lot of purring around this horse when they went over to Ireland with it for the Galway hurdle actually. But I'll just read off the list of his form. Like he was third in the 2021 renewal of this race off 140, won the Scottish champion hurdle off 142, second in the Galway hurdle off 147 to the very good Soldier, and was second in the most recent Welsh champion hurdle of 148. He's had a fairly average run on the elite hurdle, a little bit of a break now, a 102-day break, 102-day break into his February run where he's a bit disappointing as well. But I think off a mark of 141, you have to give Milkwood a little bit of chance in the county. I think at 33-1 for Neil Mulholland.
Okay, very good. We'll wrap it up there. So
hold on a second. Sorry, I actually have two for the Martin Pipe. I wasn't really listening to you.
I have a come for the pipe as well, so I'll go after Killian as well.
Yeah,
Okay.
I actually sorry to cut across you there, James. I have two for the Martin Pipe. First one, I'm not sure I put him up for the Coral Cup in the other video. Rian, his name is, for Gordon Elliott. I'm not sure what race he's going to. I was trying to find out, and I can't find him anywhere. I don't know if he's even going to Cheltenham, but I think he'd have a good chance. Like, because you've Spanish Harlem there is like 11-2 favorite for the Martin Pipe, and you can get Rian at 25-1, and he beat him. I thought he beat him snugly enough the last day. Now he got £4 off him, but I just don't understand the price discrepancy between the two of them. And then the other one is Spirit of Legend. Now he's definitely going. He's going to the Martin Pipe. He's a couple of good pieces of form. Like he won a maiden hurdle in Navan, then he finished a length behind Green Glory of Charles Burns in Leopardstown over Christmas. And like Green Glory, I know he was beaten in the Lanzarote, but I'd say he just got caught up on the ground that day. But like that was good form. I think he was running a really good race in Navan before he came down. I think he might have won that day. And then the last day, he to get his last run in to qualify, and he got a very quiet ride from Rachel out the back behind Barry Connell's horse in Fairyhouse. They haven't missed him. They gave him £8, so he's off 137. But I think he might have a small bit in hand. Like he's only a 6-year-old. Like he's that I think that form in behind Green Glory is it's going to look out very good in the spring when Green Glory does come back for maybe Aintree or Punchestown.
Right, okay, Ash, and wrap us up there at the Martin Pipe.
The Rehan comments. I'd be interested by him for this race. Gordon Elliott said that the Martin Pipe is the plan now. That was in a race in his Racing Post stable tour. So I'd be interested by him. But I thought he won very nicely the last day. I think he's same connections as presenting Percy. I want to say.
He is. Yeah. That's why I see
huge fans of presenting Percy on this podcast.
So I
and the younger brother now, Valso Pressa, coming along. Blind for
I've been a fan of Imagine for about a month now, and you know the comments from Gordon Elliott have been nothing but music to my ears. He was the one horse that he gave up at the handicap weights lunch. Now some people may see that as a negative of the fact that he's willing to give them up and he might have one up his sleeve, but I think the market represents that his chance is 7-1. Like he's fairly priced at that, so I'm big in the Imagine camp. I'm just trying to find the other horse. I'm actually going for a trio of Gordon Elliott horses. Santanito, is it? Is it Santanito?
Santanito, yeah.
I think you have to give him a bit of a chance. Like his form is very good. Like he started this season running behind Marine Nationale, Hidden Valley Lake. Both of them are leading contenders for the Grade 1 novice hurdles. He's had a fair decent season now, and off a mark of 137, I think he could be well handicapped. I give one final shout to Capo Glory. I did a little bit of work around him, and I thought that his run behind Phil Dore at Goran Park the last day was very good. I think stepping up in trip will be brilliant for him. And the jockey, is it Mr. D. Allen? I wouldn't know his first name, so I wouldn't take it. Thank you very much, Emma. He's been riding in the last God knows how many times, so he'd be going for this race, I assume. So yeah, Decapito Glory, but 3 Gordon Elliott horses. You can have the fourfold. There you go.
Okay, very good, very good. Right, we'll wrap it up there. So with the best bets of day 4, Killian.
Will you come back to me? Wait a second.
I will, yeah. You're out of it. Ash.
Well, conflated for the Gold Cup.
Conflated for the Gold Cup. Emma.
Fieldor on County Hurdle if he goes, yeah.
Okay, and while Killian is thinking, Sharjah in the County Hurdle wins. He was actually 12-1 this morning. He's into 10-1 now, but he just wins.
I love your confidence, James. I love it.
Yeah.
It's the way I've got the County Hurdle winner at Sharjah. I love that. I just love it.
You could go each way in case he meets traffic, just as a bit of a safety net. But yeah, he should be one of 3 winners probably for Rich Ritchie on the day. Go on, Killian. Have you had time to think?
Spirit Legend in the Martin Pipe will win it, close out in the winner.
Okay, very good. Well, look, that brings our previews to an end. That's myself and Killian finished now off duty until after Cheltenham, I'd imagine, unless we do something small maybe between now and then.
No.
Again, I'd just like to thank Emma and Ash very much for joining us. Guys, you were great, I'm sure. People will be enjoying listening to both of your comments on all the races. So again, thanks very much to everybody for listening, and we'll see you at the other side. Best of luck with all your bets.
Good luck very much.
Vauban finds Moore now and kicks away and up the hill. Vauban wins the JCB Triumph Hurdle.
Round the home turn, Davy Russell decides to send presenting Percy on now. It's a beautiful straight, 11 victories for Honeysuckle. She is the winner of the Unibet Champion Hurdle.
Heaven help us, runs riot to win the Coral Cup. Manila Indo is all out, flat out, but he wins the Gold Cup.